by the blazing constellations. Think you know the 12 houses? Today I'm going to show you the real meanings of each house, why some are favorable and why others are challenging. We start with the foundations: angularity, succedence, cadence, and the core rule of aversion. Then I reveal our objective grading system and the exact grade we assign to every house so you can judge planetary condition with sharp clarity. This is real and objective astrology, no ifs and no buts. And do not miss our crash course tour through all 12 house topics, sourced from the best traditional authorities, so you get the true significations room by room. Ready to level up your chart reading? Let us begin. By Saturn's stern gaze. Welcome to episode 23 of our Learn Traditional Astrology series. Today we tackle the real meanings of the houses. And yes, we will get to the grades soon. But first, we need the bedrock. The houses are grouped into angular, succedent, and cadent. Ella, can you remind us of the key angles that shape every horoscope?
The big four: ascendant, midheaven, descendant, and IC, which is directly opposite the midheaven.
Exactly. These 4 points anchor the entire chart, and the houses that sit on them. They shine the brightest. Those are the angular houses, the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th.
So these are the ones that carry the most weight in interpretation.
Correct. Now Katrina, your turn. What comes next in strength?
That would be the succedent houses, the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 11th. They rise into prominence after the angular houses by primary motion.
Which leaves us with the cadent houses, the ones that have fallen away from the angles, the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th.
Well done. Now, what makes the angular houses special?
They deal with the biggest pillars of life. The 1st house is self and identity, the 10th is career and public standing, the 4th is home and family, the 7th is marriage and partnerships.
Exactly. These are the powerhouses of the chart. And at the other end, cadent houses often struggle. The 6th brings illness and toil, the 12th hidden enemies and suffering. These are not easy topics for the native.
So the grading system is clear. Angular houses earn the highest marks, succedents hold steady in the middle, and cadents, well, they're at the bottom of the class.
By Jupiter's mighty thunder, perfectly said. But before we start handing out grades, there's one more crucial piece of the puzzle we must understand: aversion. And remember, everything we're teaching here is within the whole sign house system. That's the solid foundation on which all of this rests.
Could we have a crisp summary for this part? Something we could pin down in writing.
Certainly. Demetra George in Ancient Astrology, Volume 2 describes it this way. When the figure of an upright human is placed within the circle of the houses, the head touches the 10th house, the feet the 4th house, and the outstretched arms touch the 1st and 7th houses. The meanings of these houses signify the areas of central importance in the human experience: the self and the spouse or partner, 1st and 7th, a person's relation to the public sphere of profession and social reputation, 10th, and the private foundation of home and family, 4th.
Beautifully said, Cherry. With that foundation, let us move on to houses in aversion to the ascendant, those that cannot see the rising sign. By the blazing constellations, let's test the waters. Who here remembers what the Ptolemaic aspects are?
In traditional astrology, there are only 5: conjunction at 0 degrees, sextile at 60, square at 90, trine at 120, and opposition at 180. Those are the Ptolemaic aspects.
Perfect, Clara. We'll cover aspects in greater detail later, but for now, keep in mind that in the whole sign system, aspects are formed between entire signs. Since every sign has 30 degrees, the geometry is neat and exact. Ella, give us the lineup using Aries as our example ascendant.
Sure. Aries is conjunct Aries, sextiles Gemini and Aquarius, squares Cancer and Capricorn, trines Leo and Sagittarius, and opposes Libra.
Excellent. Which means in whole sign houses, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 11th houses are able to see the 1st house. These houses connect directly with the ascendant and are supportive to the native.
So then, which houses cannot see the ascendant?
Now we reach aversion. Houses that do not make one of these aspects to the ascendant are said to be in aversion. It is as if they are blind to the ascendant. They cannot see the life force of the native.
So that would be the 2nd, 6th, 8th, and 12th houses.
Which makes them not good?
Unfortunately so. These houses are tied to difficult topics. The 6th house rules illness and servitude, the 8th is death and loss, and the 12th is secret enemies and suffering. Even the 2nd, which looks like it should be more positive since it deals with money, is considered unfortunate, especially when malefics in bad condition are lodged there. It can signal poverty or hardship.
James Holden even called these the 4 evil houses.
That's such a harsh title.
And yet, the title fits. Once you study these houses in real charts, you see why the ancients feared them. They reveal life's harsher truths: fear, isolation, loss, and suffering. But do not despair. Understanding them is key. Up next, we will bring angularity and aversion together and take the next step toward building our grading system for the houses.
So Arlo, are you saying that if we combine angularity with aversion, we can actually tell which houses are favorable and which are unfavorable?
By the blazing constellations. Exactly. Angular houses are the powerhouses of the chart. They are tied to crucial life topics and, since they aspect the ascendant, they're naturally favorable.
I think I see where this is going. So the succedent houses must be somewhere in the middle?
Correct, but with a twist. The succedent houses that do aspect the ascendant are favorable. The 11th house, called the house of good spirit, brings friends, allies, and hope for the future. The 5th house, known as the house of good fortune, covers joy, children, and creativity. These are strong and fortunate places.
And what about the other 2 succedent houses, the 2nd and the 8th?
Ah, here's where aversion comes in. The 2nd and the 8th are succedent, but they do not aspect the ascendant, so they are unfavorable. The 2nd, called the gate of Hades, is linked to possessions and wealth but can also show poverty when afflicted. The 8th, called the idle place, deals with death and inheritances, topics often beyond the native's control.
Then I suppose the Cadent houses are the really bad ones?
Not so fast, Katrina. The Cadent houses that aspect the ascendant can actually be favorable. Take the 9th house, the house of God, which represents religion, higher learning, and foreign journeys. Then there's the 3rd house, the house of the goddess, which deals with siblings, travel, and devotion. Traditionally, it is considered semi-favorable.
Semi-favorable? That surprises me. I always thought the 3rd was good. Why the hesitation?
Cherry, enlighten us.
Historical context. In ancient times, inheritance practices often gave property to the eldest son. This created rivalry among siblings, sometimes even leading to violence. That shadow lingers in the symbolism of the 3rd.
Ah, that explains it.
Now, the Cadent houses in aversion to the ascendant are without doubt unfavorable. The 6th, known as bad fortune, rules illness, servitude, and struggle. The 12th, called bad spirit, rules secret enemies, suffering, and confinement.
Wow, so we can actually separate the good, the mixed, and the bad houses. But how do we line them up clearly?
Not ranks, Ella, but grades. Up next, we will reveal the grading scheme that puts every house into perspective. By the blazing constellations, it is time to grade the houses. To keep things clear and objective, we'll be using an 8-level grading system, ranging from excellent to the absolute worst. Here it is. Grade scale. A+ equals excellent. A equals very good. B+ equals good, but can have some flaws. B equals good mixed with challenges. C+ equals bad, but may contain a little good. C equals bad, with only faint positives. D+ equals worst, with a tiny bit of relief. D equals worst, the lowest possible placement.
I see. So A and B grades are generally favorable, while C and D fall on the unfavorable side.
Exactly. Grades A+, B, and B+ belong to the stronger houses, though the B grades might show some mixed results. Meanwhile, C+, C, D+, and D point to unfavorable placements, with D being the absolute weakest.
I like this, Arlo. It feels simple and practical, much easier than vague terms like strong or weak. Will we use this scheme throughout the series?
Yes, Clara. This grading scheme will be our foundation. We'll apply it not only to house favorability but also to other conditions: sect, essential dignity, solar phase, and quadrant strength. And sometimes, when we need more precision, such as with essential dignities, we'll add ++ for extra nuance.
Let's get to the exciting part, grading the houses.
Well said, Katrina. Here's the crash course chart for whole sign house grades. First house, A+. 10th house, A+. 11th house, A. 5th house, A. 7th house, B+. 4th house, B+. 9th house, B. 3rd house, B. 2nd house, C+. 8th house, C. 6th house, D+. 12th house, D.
So the 1st and 10th are at the top, no surprise there, and the 6th and 12th fall at the very bottom.
Correct. Notice that even the Cadent 3rd and 9th get decent grades because they aspect the ascendant. The 5th and 11th are even better. They're Succedent, they aspect the ascendant with friendly aspects, and they're tied to fortune and spirit.
And the 2nd, 8th, 6th, and 12th are the true problem houses, which explains their poor grades.
But Arlo, what do we actually do with these grades?
Excellent question, Ella. We use them to judge the condition of planets. But remember, the house grade is just one factor. A planet's action in a chart depends on three things: the nature of the planet itself, benefic or malefic, the favorability of the house it's in, and the planet's own condition, sect, dignity, solar phase, and more.
I'd love to see some real chart examples.
By Jupiter's mighty thunder, let's do just that. Cherry, give us the house favorability grades for Charles Dickens.
House favorability for Charles Dickens planets. Saturn, A. Jupiter, A+. Mars, C. Sun, D+. Venus, B+. Mercury, A. Moon, B+.
Perfect. Clara, walk us through what this means.
Sure, Jupiter in the 10th is the best placement, followed closely by Saturn and Mercury in the 5th. Venus and the Moon do fairly well in the 7th and 4th, but the Sun is poorly placed in the 6th, and Mars struggles in the 8th.
Excellent assessment, Clara. You're starting to sound like a pro already. Now, let's try another example. Cherry, give us Petrarch's chart.
House favorability grades for Petrarch. Saturn, B. Jupiter, C+. Mars, D. Sun, A+. Venus, A. Mercury, A+. Moon, C.
Wonderful. Katrina, this one's yours.
The Sun and Mercury in the 1st are outstanding, with Venus also strong in the 11th. Saturn does fine in the 3rd, but Mars is very poorly placed in the 12th, and both Jupiter and the Moon fall in weak houses, the 2nd and 8th.
Fantastic work, Katrina. You see how powerful this grading system can be? It gives us clarity at a glance. And next, we're going to deepen our toolkit by looking at planetary joys in the houses. By the blazing constellations, gather round. Each of the 7 traditional planets has a house where it rejoices. Here is the pattern. The diurnal team enjoys houses above the horizon. The Sun has its joy in the 9th. Jupiter rejoices in the 11th. Saturn finds its strange comfort in the 12th. The nocturnal team prefers houses below the horizon. Venus rejoices in the 5th. Mars rejoices in the 6th. The Moon rejoices in the 3rd. And Mercury, forever the messenger at the threshold, rejoices right on the horizon in the 1st.
I love the elegance of that layout. Day planets high, night planets low, and Mercury right at the door where sky meets Earth.
Exactly, Ella. Sect and placement working together like a well-tuned choir.
And the symbolism tracks. The malefics, Saturn and Mars, have their joys in what we grade as difficult houses, the 12th and the 6th. The benefics, Jupiter and Venus, are happy in strong houses, the 11th and the 5th.
So a planet in its joy behaves more like itself. Sharper, clearer, truer. But if other conditions are bad, the joy does not erase that, right?
Well said. Think of the house of joy as a kind of minor dignity. When a planet is in its joy, it is pleased and more effective. Yet sect, essential dignity, solar phase, and house favorability still matter. The full picture always wins.
That makes sense. A planet may be happy in its joy, but it still has to work with the rest of the chart.
Summary loaded. Diurnal joys, Sun in the 9th, Jupiter in the 11th, Saturn in the 12th. Nocturnal joys, Moon in the 3rd, Venus in the 5th, Mars in the 6th. Mercury rejoices in the 1st.
Beautifully concise, Cherry. Now for the part you have all been waiting for. Our crash course tour of the 12 houses. I have the slides ready. You have your notes ready. Each of you will take a turn on every house. Give us the clean meanings and the key nuances. Are we ready?
Ready and organized.
Ready to probe the edges.
Ready to keep it clear and fair.
Let us begin. By Jupiter's mighty thunder, the crash course begins. Clara, take us into House 1 and keep your pencils sharp.
House 1 is the ascendant. It shows primary motivation, health, and vitality. The sign on the ascendant and its ruler tell us how the native moves through life and what drives them.
We also use House 1, its planets, and the ascendant ruler to judge physical appearance and to calculate temperament. It is the face you present to the world.
Since it is an angular house, planets here are loud and visible. The moon in the first can wear feelings on the sleeve. Mercury in the first can speak like a reporter who never runs out of questions.
Exactly. Angular and powerful. Now on to House 2.
House 2 is the house of money and movable wealth. It is also called the Gate of Hades. It shows income, possessions, how you earn, and sometimes the people who assist or advise you.
House 2 does not aspect the ascendant, so by aversion it is unfavorable. Benefics here can grow resources. Malefics here in poor condition can show losses or even poverty.
Remember the relativity. House 2 is the 8th from the 7th, so it can speak to a partner's debts, a partner's investments, and even the partner's passing.
Solid. House 2 carries risk by aversion. House 3 next.
House 3 is the house of siblings and is called the house of the goddess. The moon rejoices here.
Topics include neighbors, neighborhood, primary education, short trips, writing, communication, publishing, publicity, the press, and media. It can also speak to dreams and divination.
It is cadent, yet it aspects the ascendant, so it is favorable. Planetary signatures can describe siblings. Mars may show a brother. Venus may show a sister. Petrarch had Saturn in the third, which reflected his brother Gorado becoming a monk.
Nicely stitched together. Anchor it with context and it sings. House 4 now.
House 4 is angular. It speaks to father, grandfather, home, family, ancestry, legacy, origins, and roots. It also rules land, buildings, and immovable property.
It reaches into the past. Old and buried things, relics, treasures, archives. It also shows the end of matters and the close of life.
Since it is angular and an aspect to the ascendant, it is favorable. Mercury in the fourth can show a genealogist or a family historian.
Beautiful. House 4 is strong, foundational, and deeply consequential. Next up, houses 5 to 8. Keep those notes ready. By the blazing constellations, we are moving into the heart of the chart. Let's tackle houses 5 through 8. Clara, start us off with the House of Joy.
The fifth house is the house of children and is called the house of good fortune. It speaks of creativity, romance, pleasure, games, and joy. It also rules diplomats, ambassadors, and political elections. While the third house covers short trips of weeks or months, the fifth house is more about journeys of 2 to 5 days.
Planets here can show the condition of one's children. Saturn in the fifth may bring difficulty in raising them, while benefics bring blessings. Since the fifth aspects the ascendant, it is a favorable house.
And being the second from the fourth, it can also show wealth from land or property and even what is said after a person's death.
Excellent work. The fifth house earns high marks. Now brace yourselves, onto the sixth.
The sixth house is the house of illness and is called the house of bad fortune. It governs disease, accidents, and injury. It also relates to servants, employees, laborers, and even small animals like pets.
Because it does not aspect the ascendant, the sixth is considered unfavorable. Saturn here may point to chronic illness or persistent difficulties.
And from derived houses, the sixth is the third from the father's fourth, so it can represent uncles and aunts.
The sixth house reminds us life is not all sweetness. It is graded poorly. Now let's lift ourselves with the angular seventh.
The seventh house is the house of the spouse. It is called the setting place, since the sun sets in the west. It signifies marriage and partners, as well as open enemies, lawsuits, and contracts. It is also linked with conditions of old age and sometimes death.
Since it is angular and aspects the ascendant directly, it is considered a favorable house.
Well said. Partnerships, love, and conflict alike, House 7 carries weight. And now, the shadowy eighth.
The 8th house is the house of death, also called the idle or inactive place. Because it does not aspect the ascendant, it is unfavorable. It covers inheritance, pensions, wills, debts, taxes, banking, and trade.
Traditionally, it is viewed as a place of fear, grief, and anguish of the mind.
And since it is the second from the 7th, it can represent a partner's money or dowry.
A heavy house indeed, often graded low, but every piece tells the story. Next, we rise higher, to the lofty 9th house.
The 9th house is called the House of God. It rules religion, philosophy, higher education, profits, and of course astrology and astronomy. Long journeys to foreign lands belong here as well.
And it mirrors the 3rd house, so like the 3rd, it can also signify dreams and divination. Law, publishing, even career breaks or sabbaticals fall under the 9th. Since it aspects the ascendant, it is considered a favorable Cadent house.
Saturn in the 9th often shows someone drawn to serious studies, like traditional astrology itself.
By Saturn's solemn weight, beautifully put. Now onward to the mighty 10th.
The 10th house is the house of the mother. It speaks of career, profession, social rank, reputation, and public standing.
Kings, governments, and institutions of power also live here. Being angular and aspecting the ascendant, the 10th is one of the strongest and most favorable houses.
Planets here often mark the career direction. Venus in the 10th, for example, could point to a musician or artist.
Exactly. This house shows how the world sees you and what you achieve. Next, the hopeful 11th.
The 11th house is the house of good spirit. It rules friends, allies, groups, organizations, and legislative bodies. It is also the place of hopes and wishes.
And since it aspects the ascendant, it is a favorable house, one of support and community.
Being the second from the 10th, it also represents income or gains from one's profession.
Wonderful insights. And now, the final stretch, the 12th house.
The 12th house is the house of bad spirit, home to sorrow, suffering, illness, and confinement. It is cadent, does not aspect the ascendant, and is therefore unfavorable. Secret enemies also belong here.
While the 6th house rules small animals, the 12th rules large ones, like horses and elephants. It can also signify hidden knowledge, secret work, libraries, and research.
And since it is the 8th from the 5th, it can even signify the death of children.
By the blazing constellations, that was a whirlwind tour. Truly a crash course on all 12 houses.
We covered so much ground. I'm glad to be part of this journey.
And that wraps it up, Seekers of the Stars. Cast your chart on astro.com, the link is in the description, and check where your planets fall. Which houses do they occupy? Favorable or unfavorable? What grade would you give them? Share with us in the comments.
We're here to make traditional natal astrology clear and practical, fast, real, and ready to use.
Keep questioning, keep refining, and always keep your eyes on the skies. Houses are the backbone of chart interpretation. Next week, we will explore real-life examples of planets and houses, so do not miss it.
And if you're curious about how to decode planets and signs, we already have the perfect episode waiting for you. Check it out after this.
Until next time, fellow seekers.
Bye.
Transmission complete. See you next time.